Hey everyone, if you didn't see, last week we released a little short film called Smoke Break. It's out right now. Go check it out if you haven't already, because while we were making the movie, I shot a series of vlogs as we were making the project. So you can see what it was like to conceive of the project, the logistical challenges we faced, how the whole thing came together, the ideas we had while we were making it, and what it was like to make a short film. So if you've never made a short film before, check this video out because I'm gonna take you through my process of making a movie. Okay, so it is currently May 31st. It's a Friday afternoon, and Rebecca and I are going to plan to shoot on Wednesday. We have about 3 to 4 hours to shoot something, and I have no idea what exactly we're going to do. So I'm going to drive around to different locations, see what we can use, and see if I can come up with an idea for a short. So when you're working on a project like this, limitations are actually your friend because they help you narrow down what your choices are. Because when you can do anything you want in the world, sometimes it's really tricky to figure out what exactly you want to do. So for this project, our limitations are, we know that we only have a couple hours to shoot on a Wednesday. We know that that's not enough time to do a really long scripted thing. I know that Rebecca is she's a great actress who's trained in theater, so she can do dialogue and she wants to do dialogue. So I know that this short is going to be dialogue driven. And I don't know what help I'm going to have, but I'm going to assume that I'm not going to have any help whatsoever. So I'm going to plan this film as if I'm not going to have Zach or Ethan or anybody else helping me out. So I know that this is going to be a tripod lockdown kind of movie. While I was thinking about this last night, I actually had a couple of ideas. One idea that I really loved was doing something at an amusement park. There's a place called Oaks Park nearby, which I would love to shoot at, but I think it might be a little too many variables, and I would definitely need another person to help out. Another idea I thought of was something at the beach, but obviously going to the beach is about an hour, 90-minute drive, so that's out of the question. As I was brainstorming, I kind of realized that I really want something that feels like summer, where you can feel the sun, you can feel the heat with the blue skies. It looks like the weather is going to be pretty nice on Wednesday, so fingers crossed that works out. But I was thinking about maybe I could set a short, like a little dialogue scene between two people on the roof of a parking garage in Portland. The downside is that there's always security that's roaming around, and they don't usually like people to be filming up top and hanging around. However, the loophole is Portland State University has a bunch of parking garages downtown, and I know for a fact that they don't really care about people who are filming up top because film students got to film somewhere, right? And I filmed on top of rooftops, where I filmed on top of parking garages at Portland State many times. It's usually pretty isolated, pretty easy, and so I'm on my way to check out a parking garage. I have not written anything yet, but I'm hoping that being in the physical location, being in the space will give me some inspiration. This is what I'm talking about. All empty, no one here. Cool views of the city as well. And security never comes by because I've shot up here many times and no one's ever cared. This brings back lots of memories being here. This is the parking garage I used to park at when I was a student here at PSU. It was the cheapest one to park at because there's two other ones. There might be a couple more, but this is the cheapest one because it's the furthest away from the campus. Can't really see it, but way over there, that's where PSU is, or one of the many buildings on PSU. Cool view of the street. I don't want to dangle my phone over the roof. I'm paranoid about that. I do like seeing the backgrounds of the city. I don't know. Everything gets lost in the trees, kind of. I'm not a fan of that. I want to see a little more of the city, so maybe if I go up here, actually. Now, this is solely my opinion, hot take here. I think a lot of short films try to do too much, and their lengths are very long and bloated. And as I've made tons of short films over the years, and as I've made lots of features, my opinion on short films is the perfect length is 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a perfect length for a short film, in my opinion. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but that's just what I think, because it's short, it's sweet to the point. It's not going to cover too much ground, because I think at a certain point, when I'm watching a really ambitious short film, I'm just wondering, why isn't this a feature? Because this is already really ambitious enough. So why didn't you just make this a feature? But I like stuff that's short and sweet. Usually it's about one scene. That's my kind of jam. I haven't made a short film in years, honestly, not since the Ladanza short. So I'm excited to get back onto this. And being on locations really inspired me. My idea as of now is it's two people having a conversation on a rooftop. And when you can, now this is the part where it does get tricky, because I can write anything I want. I can write this conversation about anything, but how do I make something that A, tells a complete story, B, is really interesting, C, is also visually interesting, and D, shows off Rebecca's acting chops. Story-wise, I'm envisioning something very much like Wong Kar-wai or Tsai Ming Liang, stuff from Hong Kong and Taiwanese cinema, Edward Yang as well. That's the vibe I'm kind of feeling in my gut right now. Something in particular like a brighter summer day, also Days of Being Wild. Those are just two that come to mind. I also just watched a Japanese movie that was called It's a Summer Film, which is really good, and that's got a cool summer vibe to it. And I like the blue skies and the colors. This is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm picturing Coca-Cola bottles, like glass bottles or cans I'm drinking. I don't think they're strangers necessarily, but they could be. Maybe they're classmates or acquaintances. When it comes to writing a good scene, there's 1,000 different ways you can go about writing a good scene, but I think on a very base level is you need a conflict of some sort, whether that's between characters within the scene or between the movie and the audience. Because if something is really interesting and it's happening on screen and the audience isn't exactly clear on what's happening, that creates tension. That can also work. So I need to find something interesting or something, some sort of conflict between characters. Yeah, this is a cool spot. It's really isolated. I know I can count on here. It's giving me some ideas. I do want to check one of the other PSU parking garages because there's a small chance that it will be isolated up top and we will be able to use it, but we'll see. Right now I'm thinking a movie that's, in terms of aesthetics, I'm thinking, like I said, it's in color. It's got that bright blue sky. Clothing, I'm picturing something maybe 90s themed, something kind of retro, something a little bit vintage. And I'm picturing 4:3 for the aspect ratio. I've been a huge fan of playing with frame rate as of lately, but I think for this one, just to give it a more classically cinematic look, I'm thinking some 24 frames a second, or 23.993 to be exact. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of aesthetics here. I do love 60 frames per second. I was one of those weirdos who loved the high frame rate of Avatar 2 and also The Hobbit, but I don't think this is a project for that. This is the top of the other parking garage, and this is a Friday. This isn't even a busy day at school. These scenes I like quite a bit more, but yeah, like look at this. Gorgeous views of the city here. But I think it'll be hard finding an isolated part of the parking lot to shoot at. I do know there is one other parking garage that I want to check out. To be honest, I think this one is probably my favorite parking garage here at PSU. But just based on this, again, this is a Friday. We're gonna be there on a Wednesday. This isn't inspiring too much confidence in terms of filming. When you are making movies at art level, at a certain extent, you can't have the perfect thing of what you want. So sometimes you have to settle, or you have to compromise in certain areas. And something I really want to make sure that this shoot is stress-free and really relaxed and easy, and we don't have to deal with a lot of people. And I'd rather sacrifice maybe better visuals in terms of scenery for that, because I think that's way more important. Because I think if you are comfortable, if you're calm, for a piece like this, it'll allow us to be a little more creative and we can play around and have fun. Whereas if we shoot in a place like this, we'll probably be stressing out because, oh geez, there's so many people might be watching, we might get stopped by security. I mean, this is where they park the security officers' cars, so already we'll be cutting it a little close if we're just hanging out at the top, you know? I love the texture of the ceiling here. Like, it looks like I'm right up next to the ceiling, but I'm really not. Oh my gosh, you know, there's actually not that many people up here. Oh, there's one guy. Put my camera down so he doesn't think I'm filming him. Oh, looks like he's just smoking. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, that looks great. It's gonna be ice. Oh, we got Mount Hood right there. Oh man, this might be the spot to do it. If I could frame it right, so Mount Hood is right there, like right dead center. Also get a cool view of the street. So in terms of layout, it's pretty similar to the other one because we have the parking garage that kind of elevates up right there, and we can kind of walk around here. So blocking wise, it's more or less the same. Something you can do to make your compositions better is try to build shapes, pleasing shapes, like direct people's lines of vision. Again, the movie's gonna be kind of square, it'll be 4x3, so building squares within might be kind of cool, like have a character there and a character there. Also, if I shoot here, because I'd imagine we'd be shooting this direction if we're going past people. At the same time, I could also put the camera there and shoot up this way. Character there, character there. You know what, this might be the way to do it. Okay, cool, so I think I found my location. I really like the spot. There's a nice variety in all the angles. We can also play down low and get a nice low angle of people kind of looking over that thing. I like this. The main question I have is how busy is it going to be on a Wednesday around this time, around 1-ish, 2-ish, or whatever, whenever we shoot. We won't be here for very long, but I mean, I'm less worried about us getting stopped than I am us having a packed parking lot. But I suppose if we're shooting just up there, it shouldn't be too much of a difference. But again, I like the isolated feeling. I think that's going to help this a lot. So I kind of got a location, I got a vibe, I got a look for the movie. Now what I need to do is figure out what the heck are these characters going to be talking about. All right, so I just sent off the first draft of the script off to Rebecca to hear her thoughts on it. I'll probably add some tweaks and stuff, but it's pretty, I think this is mostly what the movie's going to be. It's called Smoke Break as of now, and the scene is there's a guy who comes up onto the roof of a parking garage to take a smoke break, and he looks over and he sees a coworker who's sitting on leaning on the railing with a 12-pack of soda and is just sipping her drink. And he goes over and they kind of have a little chat together, and he's kind of just trying to be friendly, have some chat, you know, trying to have some small talk with his coworker. And she's just not having it. She's kind of in a bad mood. As he kind of asks her questions, she just is she's in this self-reflexive state. So she's kind of, you know, just thinking about, you know, life and, geez, my siblings are more successful than I am. What am I doing? I need to get my life together. She's kind of in that state. I knew that I didn't want them to be strangers because I would have to invent a whole kind of backstory, and I feel like that eats up more time to kind of have people meet, or I thought it would with something like this. I wanted it to be pretty meditative as a piece, so I knew that I couldn't necessarily have them meet. I mean, I guess you could, but you know, my inclination was I wanted them to be co-workers because I wanted them to be familiar with each other but not know very much about each other. So it's a situation in which two people would be stuck together who would normally necessarily hang out or be together. I wanted some tension. So I wanted one to kind of want to smoke, but then the other one's in the smoking section, but she doesn't want to smoke, and she very much, she's like, hey, don't smoke around here, and she doesn't really care, so there's a little bit of tension there. And there's also a little bit of weirdness with, she's got a 12-pack of soda, why'd she have that 12-pack of soda? I had a line in an earlier version last night where she was kind of like, the corner store only sells 2 liters and 12 packs, but I felt like that ate up too much time. It didn't really add much to the thing, so I think it's just a nice little weird thing. You know, someone's on a break and they have a 12-pack of soda instead of, you know, a cigarette. The piece is a little more meditative. It's a little less structured in terms of a strong conflict that's driving this whole thing. I didn't want it to be really witty dialogue. I mean, you could have done a version of this with like really fast-paced kind of dialogue where it is kind of like a tennis match back and forth. That didn't feel right to me. I really love the aesthetic of just two people looking out over a city and wondering what their lives could have been. And for that, I wanted a more slower meditative piece. So the tension is, it's more under the surface. It's not overt. And it's a piece that I think is just kind of like, it's a very slice of life. very kind of, it's not slow cinema, but it's kind of got that slow cinema inspiration. And yeah, it's probably going to be my most. I mean, I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of dialogue in in movies, and I'm not a huge fan of like dialogue driven stuff. But I do, which is weird because I really do like slow cinema. I love Hong Kong cinema and in Taiwanese cinema, and I love the slow cinema that comes out of that tradition. And so I think playing in that genre will be really fun because I really don't make those kind of movies very often. I don't make drama movies hardly ever. But that being said, if I'm going to play in it, it's cool to pull from some of my favorite filmmakers in that tradition. A really important part of my process in terms of filmmaking and how I prep for a shoot is storyboarding. So I just finished up the storyboards for a little scene. My method for storyboarding is essentially I'll just go through the script and draw every single cut. So I know that we'll start with this shot, I'll know that we'll start with that shot, and go back to that shot. And I like to be as detailed as I can be. I'm not an amazing artist. I'm not particularly good at drawing, but I think that I can understand the drawings. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to storyboarding is, can you tell what's going on? Do you know what the composition is? Do you know how you're going to edit it? And it just helps you visualize everything in a much clearer way. That way when you show up on set, you're not just kind of scratching your heads. My idea for this, because it's a really simple scene, it's not a very flashy thing, is I like just as much long takes as you can. Not a lot of intercutting, not a lot of cross-cutting back and forth and going real crazy. I mean, that's my normal mode of filmmaking, I think, but for something like this, I think it's much better to be restrained and let the performances and dialogue lead. And just frame everything through interesting composition. But yeah, I'm gonna go and do one last little location scout because in college, classes are usually paired. You go twice a week, usually Monday and Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday. And then there's some other weird ones in there, but because we're gonna film on a Thursday at noon, I'm gonna go to PSU right now because it's Monday. And so that'll give me a good gauge on how busy or how not busy things are gonna be downtown. I'm looking through parking garage 3, the one that's furthest away, but this will be the backup if filming at the better location doesn't go well. I wanted to check out what it looks like here, and honestly it looks more or less the same. I wanted to check this place out because, again, if we need a backup location in a pinch, this seems like a good one because I know for a fact it is very, very, very not busy. Oh, it's the same blue car that was here last time, I think. Oh yeah, all empty. I'm looking at, yeah, because I'm a little lazy today. I don't think I want to get out of my car. I think because in the script and in the storyboard, I have the guy coming out of there and he kind of looks and he sees his coworker there. That blocking still works here. The only problem is that that's not as, well, actually, I lied. Maybe I am getting out of my car. Now that I have a more concrete idea of the blocking, I do actually like this quite a bit. You can see a little more of the city this way. I like the buildings there. See, I'd come out there, should be here, and we can still get that wonderful low angle from down there because we're up a bit. So we can still look up here. I don't know. So, Nathan and Caleb from RC Films called. We were working out some details on another project. So I didn't get video of the primary location for the photo shoot, or for the shoot. But in the parking lot that I really loved, actually, it was actually a lot more busy than I thought. There were a good handful of cars up there. Now, not enough where it would have like ruined the short necessarily, but with a small piece like this, I think so much of the visual appeal of the movie is the aesthetic, and I really like the aesthetic of a completely empty parking lot. And I think we're going to have a lot better chance with that empty parking lot at the first parking lot. All right, so I just got back from the store. I went and I bought some white polo shirts for Rebecca and I to wear. Figure this is a good generic uniform. We're gonna have black jeans and a polo shirt. Got a pack of cigarettes for the prop. I don't smoke. Oh, holy crap, this is expensive. This is like 10 bucks. But I really wanted the red to match with the Coca-Cola. So the sky's gonna be blue. Hopefully it's gonna be just pure blue like it was when we were, when I was location scouting. And then I figured our shirts will be white. That'll stand up against the blue. The stone will be kind of gray of the parking garage, but then we can have red kind of accents peppered in the frame with the cigarettes momentarily and the Coca-Cola. Again, I didn't have to go with Marlboros and Coca-Cola, which is kind of more expensive, but I really wanted to emphasize the red, the redness of those little accents for the project. So I'm gonna try on the shirt just to make sure it fits, and then we'll see how it works. Looks all right. Looks like I'm here to clean, and then I think that's it. And then all together, this was, let's see, this was about 10, 7, so 27 cigarettes for another, I think it was like $8 or something like that. So it was under like 40 bucks, which seems pretty expensive, but I figure I'm gonna wear the shirts, and I need new shirts anyways, some nice shirts, so this will work. I'll have 2 new shirts, and it was really just the Coke and cigarettes. And again, I paid a little extra because I wanted the brand to be red and kind of recognizable for the aesthetic of the whole thing. I think when you're crafting an aesthetic, for something that's really short like this, I'm willing to spend a little bit extra on a project like this because it is so short and I don't have to sustain it for the entire film. I think prop-wise, we're all good to go. Also, don't smoke. Smoking is bad for you. All right. Here on location. I mean, this is a pretty cool setup, right? Like all empty. There's one guy walking over there, but he won't bother us. Snacks. Oh, nice. I don't think we'll be here long, but water bottle. I got some candy for you or whatever. We're here on location. We just did my first shot. There's only 5 shots storyboarded, but we're just grabbing some B-roll while we can. Becca should be here any minute now, pretty soon. And, yeah, we'll get started. It was for more of the end of the movie. Okay. But the dialogue doesn't matter, and we'll just film our way. Gotcha. I'm not going to use any of the stuff from it. If I use anything, I'm going to use the tail. Okay. Okay. But we'll film it just so we can have it. We can just use that tool first. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I forgot my line. I skipped a line too.
I think I skipped a couple lines as well.
I think you got them all.
Oh, I did?
I think you did.
Okay.
I skipped one because I was supposed to ask you for a soda. But this is, I mean, we can be loose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, what I care most about is like the tone and the tempo.
Yeah.
More than the words themselves.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I would love to write something like fantasy or adventure, you know? But I don't know. Dice. I wonder if they're gonna film something too.
So I didn't get much behind the scenes yesterday as we were shooting. I think Zach got a little bit, but we didn't get too much. It's a little bit difficult to act and direct and set up camera stuff and get behind the scenes at the same time. Probably what I should have done is set up a camera, just my phone, on a tripod nearby and have that shoot us, but I didn't think of it because I just was thinking of other things. But the shoot went really well. It was pretty relaxed. I think we shot for about 90 minutes or so. I remember looking at my clock around the hour-minute mark because we got there at noon. I looked at the clock at 1 o'clock and we had everything. But shooting very slowly and taking our time allowed us to really kind of play around in terms of performance because this piece is really acting-driven and interaction-driven. And just make sure the camera angles look really good. In terms of directing and acting, I thought Rebecca did a really good job. She came prepared, she knew all the lines. So in terms of directing, I believe what we did was we did like 5 takes through the whole scene. we did a couple of rehearsal takes, and for those takes we shot different angles just to get a couple of shots, but I knew I wasn't really going to use them. And then we set up our 2 angles, which is just the wide from below and the wide from the side, and just had to go at the scene a couple of times. And I think as we went through it a bunch of times, the last 2 takes were particularly strong. I think we both felt very good on those. It felt a lot more natural. We knew the material. We added in some things that felt better and flowed better. Because it was only a 3-page scene, there wasn't much to it, but it allowed us room to play around. So that was all for the vlog on the making of Smoke Break. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. And if you are a returning viewer, do you remember these guys? They're still here.
I exist. I feel like I've been on this channel in 100 years.
I know. It's been a while since we've had the rest of the guys on. We're hard at work right now, finishing up our movie, Little Black Submarines. It's a big feature film we shot last summer. You guys have anything to say about the process right now?
I think I've been locked in this room for the last like 3 weeks just trying to get this dang VFX done. But we're so close.
We're almost there. We've been working on this project for over a year. It's about 1 year and 6 months by this point. And so because we're in the final stretches of wrapping things up, we're going to go radio silence for a bit. So we're not going to be posting as regularly because we're going to try really hard to finish up this movie to get it out to you guys as soon as possible. So you're not going to hear from us for a bit. But when you do, when you hear from us, when we have a new video, it means that we'll have big news about Little Black Submarines, and big things are coming, and we are excited to share it with all of you.
All right, I gotta get back to work on this movie.
Okay.
Now. So did you end the video already?
Okay, yeah.